On this week's Gridiron Report, we have college football season breakdowns for U of M and MSU, some Lions news, and an update on the Detroit Tigers. So let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim, from the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the Gridiron Report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire, Gridiron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on vast beats, thundering loud, champions are born from the roar of the crowd.
Welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, and college football season is damn near here. I feel like the summer has just truly flown by. We've had good baseball, we've had bad baseball, whatever. It's got us through. I feel like college football is here just out of nowhere, and we're ready for it.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like I'm looking at the calendar, like August 19th as we're recording, August 20th as y'all are listening, and football's already back. Like that's insane. Yeah, we have a slate week 0, 5 games this Saturday, the 23rd, which is crazy. I always assume, it's not Labor Day yet, it's not college football yet, but it is upon us. And I'm pumped. And I mean, this, like you said, this summer has flown by. I can't believe we're already here. Yeah, pumped to break down Michigan State, pumped to break down Michigan. I guess before we do, Ty, like how are you feeling about the season? Let's hear it, man.
Like we and I just both said, like it's come by so quickly, and I haven't really seen all that much or really about any team, about either of our teams. It's really hard for Michigan, and because every summer I feel like you get a lot of news coverage on the Wolverines. You get a lot of Heisman talk around the Wolverines. No shade, it's just what they do every year. You get those constantly. So I feel like you get a lot of that. I feel like we haven't gotten that much from Michigan State just because there's so much of a question mark based on the coaching, the schedule, the players are even on our team. And you and I will get into that in a little bit, just like the overall disconnect, I guess, that at least I'm feeling. I don't know how you feel, but like the overall disconnect from this team and this roster just based on the landscape of college football today. And that's obviously a much larger issue. But I feel like, I mean, I'm ready for college football. It's week 0 is similar to the Hall of Fame game, right? It's like, I don't really care who's playing in it. I will absolutely throw it on. I probably won't watch the whole thing just because I don't really usually care about any of those teams. But like, I'm going to throw it on because football is here. So I'm ready for it. But I don't really know what to think of this either of these teams and what to expect for the season.
I feel you on that, man. I definitely feel a little bit disconnected to this Michigan State team. You hinted at the NIL landscape. I'll probably get into that a little bit later in the podcast, my thoughts on that. But it's actually not why I'm feeling disconnected. I'm kind of feeling disconnected with Michigan State football because they've just been shit for the past 2 seasons, like 3 seasons, like, pretty much since Kenny Walker. And there's not a lot of hype right now. Like I think that Jonathan Smith is a pretty decent coach. I think he is, and I think that he can probably develop into a pretty decent recruiter, especially if they start throwing a bit more money with this new athletic director. But like until I see it on the field, like until I get surprised with an awesome like Peach Bowl season like we had with Kenny Walker and co. Like I'm just not gonna get. I'm not going to get hyped, man. And it sucks. And maybe I'm just here, getting a little bit older. Maybe I have other things going on in my life and maybe I'm just not really watching as much college football, but I don't think that's it. I'm still watching college football. It's just that I'm not really getting out of bed for this Michigan State team. And it's just because they haven't put a product on the field in 3 years that I deem as, good enough. They haven't been nearly good enough. Haven't made a bowl game in 3 years. So yeah, man, that's where I am right now. And I think, it's a huge season for Michigan State. I think they absolutely need to make a bowl game minimum. We can break down their record. We predictions for record. We'll break down Michigan as well. But that's where I am right now, Ty. I mean, I want to get excited. I'm just not there.
Yeah, there's so many question marks from both teams, right? Obviously, Michigan is coming off of much more dominant run, but there still is a lot of question marks for this Michigan team, all the way down to Sharon Moore and his suspension and the extra game that he just got. We didn't really touch on that when it got released, just because it was kind of, in my opinion, a big nothing burger. And to be honest with you guys, if you guys thought that anything bigger was going to be coming down on Michigan, I got some beachfront to sell you in Nebraska. I think that's the saying.
Yep.
And nothing big was going to happen from that. So I guess we didn't really cover that very much. Sharon got an extra game, I believe, and they were fined extreme amount. I think it was like it's going to end up being like 20 or 40 million or something, which is crazy, but there's no, they're not taking away the game, the championship, any wins, anything like that. So that's why we didn't really cover it. But
They're too
because
big
of
to
that,
fail.
Michigan, there's a lot of question marks with Michigan, a lot of question marks with a true freshman coming in. You just mentioned all the question marks with Jonathan Smith, a lot of the, Michigan State really not being relevant for so long, a lot of question marks there. So, I mean, I'm with you that there's a lot on the line, and like I very easily could be sucked right back in though, and I'm sure as soon as that ball gets kicked off, and you're down in Texas, but we'll be at the game, we'll be tailgating every game. So as soon as we get up there, I'm sure I'll be right back into it and just as frustrated as always. But until then, I'm with you and a little bit disconnected. But yeah, let's go through and break down both of these schedules. So we'll go through Michigan, the DraftKings line for wins that they have with them this season, some of the wins, the away games, home games, and then we'll do the same for Michigan State. So starting with the Wolverines, DraftKings currently has them at 8.5 wins this season. Just going to go through their schedule real quick. So they open the season home against New Mexico, then they travel at Oklahoma, home against Central Michigan, at Nebraska, home against Wisconsin, at USC, home against Washington, at MSU, home against Purdue, at Northwestern, at Maryland, and then they finish the season at home against Ohio State. So like it's different in this landscape of like these teams, especially you look at like Indiana, they're just front loading and playing a bunch of cupcake teams, and because it doesn't really matter anymore. But that's a pretty difficult schedule, I'd say. A lot of question marks in there, but a pretty difficult schedule for the Wolverines with a true freshman QB, shouldering the load of the offense.
Yeah, I think especially when you look at their away games, because it's easy to win at home, and when you got 100,000 fans screaming, it's a pretty good home field advantage. Even though I do think that the big house is probably quieter than a lot of other stadiums, but I digress on that. I think that, going on the road, especially like you said, with a true freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood, who's an absolute stallion, by the way. He looks fantastic, and I think he's going to be very good, but I do think it's tough. You're a true freshman, and you see a guy like Dylan Raiola for Nebraska last year starting as a true freshman, and he struggles at times. It's what you're going to do when you're 18 years old. Like, there's a reason why true freshmen rarely, if ever, start their first season in college football, like, because it's a whole nother beast, especially those road games. So yeah, like you said, at Oklahoma, I don't know. Oklahoma was bad last year, and I'm not going to sit here and even pretend to know like if Oklahoma is reloaded or if they got transfer portal, whatever. But I do know that's a tough road environment, and especially for a true freshman quarterback. I think that's a loss. So I don't know if we want to go like line by line. I do have a prediction for Michigan. I have them at 8 wins, 4 losses, 8-4, and yeah, one of those losses being at Oklahoma. I just feel like it's going to be a tough environment.
Yeah, so I'm just going through them as well. I mean, when you just mentioned the true freshman starting, like it's so rare when like I think back to like Johnny Manziel, and like that's how magical that was. Is that like it so rarely happens, and I think Dominic Raiola is a great comparison. I don't remember if Dominic was a 5-star plus like Bryce Underwood was.
Oh yeah, he was the best quarterback in the class.
Was he? So they're very, very similar there. And obviously Bryce has a lot more going for him at the University of Michigan. Nebraska is Nebraska. And so I think Bryce will have a lot more help there. But it is so hard. And I think for me, I think if Oklahoma is coming to the big house, I think that they easily start the season with like 5 wins, 6 wins in a row. I think they can win that game. Going to Oklahoma, I'm going to say that's a loss. So for me, I just real quick went through this. I have them winning against New Mexico, losing against Oklahoma, and then winning the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games: Central, Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC, Washington. I have them winning all those games. So then I had them coming to Michigan State with 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 1. So I mean, like that's going to be a very good first quarter of the season for Michigan, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think we're similar there. I do have them going out west to USC and losing to USC. I think it's especially, I don't know if you remember last season, but the game that USC absolutely coughed up at the hands of Michigan, like they were just controlling the game.
I forgot about that.
Gave up just a long run. I think that USC has a huge chip on their shoulder for this game at home. I don't think USC has a great home field advantage. It's the Coliseum, but like I just feel like that those LA kids like don't really give that much of a shit about football. But either way, just something to be said about traveling out west. It's tough. And the same goes for USC and UCLA when they have to travel back east. So Yeah, say what you will about the Big Ten being national there, but I do think that's going to be a tough one for them. I have that as a win for USC, loss for Michigan. But other than that, I think we're pretty aligned first half of the season. And then, yeah, they roll into East Lansing. What do you think there? Just 3 straight losses for Michigan State at the hands of Michigan. I think this is a something's got to give game. And yeah, I don't know. What are you thinking there?
So you have them coming to East Lansing with a record of 5-2, right? Because you have them losing to Oklahoma and USC.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so I had them coming to East Lansing at 6-1, and we'll get into Michigan State's record and schedule here just in a minute. But I'm ashamed to admit it, because I real quick just went through these and like my instant reaction. That's what I'm kind of rolling with. A lot of times I feel like that's my best bet, and I go back and double check them and stuff. Instant reaction. It's a homer pick, but I have Michigan State winning that. I think another year of Aiden Childs, and again, we can get to them in a minute, but I think home field advantage is going to be huge in that game for both teams. Like as big a question marks as there are, I think home field advantage could be that difference. And I think this is like the first real big statement win for Jonathan Smith, and I think it's one of the, if you think they're going to lose to USC, I think it's the first like big blemish on the Michigan schedule for this 2025 season. It's going to be a loss at East Lansing.
I have the exact same, man, and I know it's a homer pick, but for me, like this is an absolute, like, I mean, you can't lose to your rival 4 straight years. They've already lost 3 in a row. Like, you're at home. You know, if there was one game where the team sells out, the fans sell out, because I'm not going to lie. You know, the outlook, 5.5 wins, like the outlook on the season is bleak. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, we have aspirations of a college football playoff. I mean, for me, and this could be a little brother syndrome. I don't think it is in this case. I just think it's, you know, looking at where this Michigan State team is, looking at their over under 5.5 wins, beating Michigan is probably your best case scenario for having a quote unquote good season. And I think a good season for Michigan State in this case is probably, I mean, I think their ceiling is 7 wins. Maybe they could luck into 8. I don't see 8 being likely at all. I think that you have to beat your rival. This is a year where you have to hang your hat on something, and it's selling out to beat Michigan.
And I just think there's less roster question marks, at least at the important positions, like quarterback. We know Aiden Childs has the talent, and I don't want to get too much into them while we're talking about Michigan, but like we know what the talent he is. We just know he needs a clean pocket. Like we know he can do it. There's just so many questions about Bryce Underwood. So I think, like I said, the difference there is the home field advantage. If it was going to be at the Big House, I think there's no chance Michigan State rolls in there and gets the win. Even though as you just mentioned, like losing 4 years in a row is terrible, and it's going to put Jonathan Smith firmly on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think. I think that in East Lansing they can get it done. So we have them. I have them at halfway through, a little over halfway through the season, with 2 losses coming at Oklahoma and at MSU. You had them with 3 losses at Oklahoma, USC, and MSU.
Yeah, that's correct. I guess other than that, Purdue, I have them winning. Northwestern win. Maryland win. Ohio State is the last thing on the schedule. I have Ohio State winning that game. Similarly, I think Michigan has beaten Ohio State how many years in a row? 3. So same thing applies. Ohio State. Like I know you're coming off a natty season, so there's really nothing better than that. But they did lose to Michigan again last year, so I think they're huge chip on their shoulder. I think Ohio State rolls into the big house and gets a dub there.
I think this one, I mean, what we thought last year was going to be a bloodbath for Ohio State. I think similarly this year. I mean, I think Ohio State, and I don't have it in front of me, they are opening the season number 2 overall. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're reigning natties, right? National champions.
And I mean, they have just as many question marks on their team, but they're similar to Michigan, and they're reloading. There's just question marks with those reloading. So I think Ohio State does roll in this one. I think it's going to be kind of just all the anger, especially from last year, and all the last few years, like you just mentioned, they haven't been able to get that win in a few years. I think they're going to come in with vengeance and just absolutely dominate that one. So I have them finishing the season with a loss against Ohio State. So that puts them, for me, at 9-3. For you, it should be 8-4 then?
8-4, yeah.
So you have them, just based on that, you have them coming in under their 8.5 line for the DraftKings, and I have them just over. Obviously, it always seems Vegas always knows, like that makes sense. We're right there. But you have them going under, which I think is fair. I think they have a lot of talent, but they have a lot of question marks. And I don't personally think Sharon Moore is that good of a coach. Now he's going to be gone for a handful of these games. I don't think that's really going to matter. Again, I don't think he's that really good of a coach. But I think if you're a Michigan fan, I think if you finish with my record of 9-3, you're happy with that because you're probably gonna make the playoff. I think you can make the playoffs with that possibly. And like if one of those games gets flipped when you're finishing 9-3, if one of them gets flipped, you could be knocking on the door of Indianapolis. At 8-4, I don't think either one of those are really in place. So if you finish with my record or your record, are you happy as a Michigan fan?
I think so. And I mean, I think if you're a Michigan fan, you're still playing with house money. You won the Natty 2 seasons ago. Like
Yeah,
it's, I mean,
true.
it's gravy. I can only imagine how good that feeling is. Even though they cheated for it, it doesn't matter. I mean, a win is a win there. And so yeah, I think knowing that your coach is suspended 3 games, knowing that you're starting a true freshman at quarterback, I think first and foremost, yeah, I mean wins are important. You just want to see Bryce Underwood excel and improve throughout the year. He's probably going to struggle at times, but you want to see him improve. Obviously, stay healthy, and yeah, I think 9 wins is a perfectly good season for what you have right now, and knowing that you can build on it in the future. And next year, year 2 of Bryce is going to get even better, and then you might be looking at a fringe Natty team. I don't know. I assume their recruiting class is probably pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I think 9 wins, you're happy with it. You're probably not happy with it, but that's just because the bar is very high for the University of Michigan. So yeah.
I think so. I think exactly that. If what I think happens comes true and you finish with 9, I think you're taking it. You're saying you're making a decent bowl game. Like I said, you might be knocking on the door of the playoffs and stuff. I think you're happy with that, and just knowing you can build off of. You're kind of just more happy that Bryce was able to kind of hold his own, and you can build off that. I think if they come in with your record of 8, I think you're not super mad about that. Again, it's a big question mark season, so like you're not super mad about it. I think if they come in with 8 wins, it depends on how Bryce looked in those 8 wins, or more specifically, those 4 losses. Like Bryce plays really well, you still get 8 wins. You can build off that. I think you're happy with it. If it kind of Bryce doesn't, he has his freshman struggles, and you kind of just sneak away with 8 wins, and he looks really bad in the 4 losses, and I think you're a little more upset there. But I think either one, you're pretty happy, especially if Bryce looks good in those ones. Which, I've seen stuff where he looks in poor condition. I've seen stuff where he's struggling. I've seen stuff where he looks like the Heisman, and so I've seen up and down with him. So a lot of pressure put on the kid. So I do feel for him a little bit, because I guess we should even say he's going to get the start, right? There's people who don't think he's going to get the start the season.
Yeah, I think he's going to start. Can I just say too, real quick? I know we're going to talk about the Tigers, but I have them on right now, and Scooble is just shoving like the hardest. I just want to throw that out there.
If only he could get some offensive support there. But yeah, I only asked that about Bryce starting because I've talked to some Michigan fans, and they think that they brought in a grad transfer QB, Mikey Keene. And some people that think Mikey will start the season at New Mexico and then kind of use him going into Oklahoma and then have a very short leash. So like if they have to pull him in that Oklahoma game, if it starts getting ugly or something, then they can throw Bryce in and kind of just use him as the fall guy. So there's a world that Bryce doesn't actually start the season, which would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't get the grad transfer, like playing him for like a game or 2 and then bringing Bryce in. Like you might as well just get him some reps, right? But when you're playing a not so great team and then Oklahoma, but I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah, you just, again, would probably have to use him as like a fall guy against Oklahoma if that goes south. But let's move over to East Lansing, the Michigan State Spartans. So the DraftKings line for them, you already alluded to it, is 5.5, right? Kind of when you first say that, I personally think like, okay, that's a little low. But then you start to go through these, and I've done this exercise with a few coworkers and friends, and like I find myself constantly falling right around there. So they have Western Michigan, Boston College, Youngstown State, USC, Nebraska, UCLA, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Penn State, Iowa, Maryland. So they are able to avoid Ohio State this year with the larger Big Ten schedule. They avoid a few other more difficult games, kind of start the season a little bit easier. So the only away games we have, so we have USC away, Nebraska away, Indiana away, and Iowa away. Technically, Penn State is
Minnesota.
A home game. That one.
Minnesota's
Minnesota. I missed Minnesota. Okay, yeah, Minnesota in there too. Technically, Penn State is a home game. They usually do that around the Thanksgiving break, and that's usually played down at Ford Field. Technically, it is still considered a home game, even though it's not 100% a home game, but that is technically home. So looking at this record, let's break it down kind of the same way, like leading up into the Michigan game. I think you start the season 3-0. I think you had to start the season 3-0 against Western Michigan, Boston College, and Youngstown State, no?
You have to, and especially Boston College, when you you had that game at
had 'em. You
BC
had
last
'em.
year and just absolutely collapsed. And I know it was, it was raining, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that they coughed
The red
that up.
bandana night,
They
you
had
had
it.
them.
They were cruising. They had the win, and they coughed it up. What did they give up, like a punt return touchdown? I can't even remember. I totally, blacked that game out of my memory. But yeah, it has to be 3-0, and that, because otherwise, if you drop any of those games, I mean, God forbid you drop a game to like Western or Youngstown State, but if you drop any of those three, you're not going to a bowl. It's just you have to start 3-0.
Yep. Okay, so they start 3-0. We're both in agreement there. The same thing as Michigan. Then we travel out to USC. Now, you already talked about how difficult you think it'll be to go out to USC just to travel, even though there's not much of a home presence there. How do the Spartans react at the Coliseum?
I wish I could say well, but I have the next two games actually penciled out as a loss. I think you travel all the way out west to USC, then you got to travel to Lincoln, play Nebraska. I don't know where's the bye week? Is the bye week in between there? Might not be, but at any rate, man, like I think those are going to be two tough ones, especially like year two Rayola at Nebraska. Nebraska's going to be it's going to be loud, livid. I think those are two losses, unfortunately.
Okay, so you and I are lockstep there. I have 3 wins to start the season, and then we dropped 2 against USC versus Nebraska. I don't know where the bye week is. I don't have them in here. I didn't have it from Michigan either, but I don't know if it doesn't fall within there, maybe they'll just like stay out if they're at USC and then they just go to Nebraska, and I don't know how they'll do that.
Looks
but
like they might have two. They do have a bye week between USC and Nebraska, and then it also looks like between the Minnesota game and then the Penn State game at Ford Field. Also, do they have 2 bye weeks? I mean, I'm looking at the dates, and there's definitely a gap in between those as well.
Interesting. So, okay, I'm still with you in that the USC game and Nebraska games 2 L's for the exact same reasons. I think traveling out west is going to be difficult, and then I think like you said, year 2 of Dominic Raiola, and Nebraska is an insane environment to play in front of. So I think that again, being at Nebraska, if they came to East Lansing, I think it maybe is a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe still a loss with Raiola, but I think they have both back-to-back away losses there, and then UCLA comes to town. I have that as a win for the Spartans. I think UCLA is actually it would be a homecoming for Dante Moore, right? Or is that has he already moved on? Because at one point Dante Moore, Detroit native, a Michigan State recruit, was playing for UCLA. I don't know if he still is there, but UCLA, the Bruins coming to East Lansing, I have that as a win for the boys.
Yeah, I don't know who's quarterbacking there. I want to say that the Cal quarterback might have transferred. I don't know. Did he transfer to UCLA? I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I think they have a decent quarterback wherever. But I do also have that as a win just because, traveling east, EL, especially if we are correct and the Spartans are coming off back-to-back losses, I mean, that is a just backs against the wall game. UCLA at home, it absolutely has to be a win.
That's about middle of October, so it's not going to be freezing for the Bruins to come and play in East Lansing. Like, it would be so funny if they got to come play in like late November, come play in East Lansing with like an absolute snow game or something.
It is a noon game as well. Yeah.
So yeah, we have that as a win, and then we go at Indiana. I have that as a loss. I think Indiana is not going to be as good as they were last year, but going to Indiana, I think to chalk that up as a win would be foolish.
Another tough environment. This is funny, man. We're exactly the same right now. I do have the Indiana game as a loss as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I think, like I said, I think most of Spartan Nation is going to be with us there. So that brings us to Michigan, and we already really talked about it, about Michigan coming to East Lansing. I mentioned being the home field advantage, being the difference there. I just think like I said, we know what we have in Aiden Childs, and the talent is there. His receiving core got even better from last year. They had the talent. We reloaded on the offensive line, and so when you put all those together, I think that's going to really provide Aiden Childs the protection that he needs to make his reads. And I think being that it's in East Lansing, I think it's a win for the guys. I think it's a really important game. I think if Jonathan Smith loses that one, I think the pressure's really going to be on with him. I think the season in general, if he has a really down season, the pressure's already going to be on. But if, like you already mentioned, if he's losing again to Michigan, I think he's going to be in some hot water. And I maybe think the same for Sharon Moore. I think I agree with you in that, like, they're still playing a little bit with house money, but I think they don't want to lose that in East Lansing. So I think maybe the coach coming out of this game is maybe just a little bit more on the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And yeah, we talked about it, but it's, you lose to Michigan 3 years in a row, you can't make it a fourth. If you lose your rival 4 years in a row, you're triple B, you're a baby back bitch. So Yeah, it's a must win regardless of what happens in this season. They could be winless going into the Michigan game, and it's still an absolute must win.
I agree.
You can't lose your rival 4 years in a row. Yeah, I mean, I do think, yeah, to Jonathan Smith's credit, they did play Michigan pretty hard in Ann Arbor last year. Granted, Michigan was kind of dog shit. They didn't really have a quarterback that could throw, and still they beat Michigan State. But I think that, if a couple things, go differently, Michigan State was right in that game. So it's not to say that these teams are, leaps and bounds, apart at different parts. But yeah, it's going to depend on Bryce Underwood. But I do think regardless, East Lansing is going to be rocking. I'm hoping Spartan Stadium is going to be just absolutely rocking, especially if they come in with, four wins, 5 wins going into that game, and it's actually still a bit meaningful. So yeah, we'll see, but it's a must win.
I agree. I'm right there with you. It's a must win. I wish one of us was like a Michigan alum or something, so we could make like a bet on it or something, because I do think it's going to be a great game. I'd be curious to see what that line is. It's been a night game before. It's usually right around Halloween, so it'll be just an absolutely insane environment. But I'm right there with you. This is a must win, regardless of the season. This is a must win. You got to come away with that one. And then after Michigan, we then go play at Minnesota, again at Ford Field for Penn State, and then at Iowa. I have these, at least Minnesota game, I have it as one of the coin flips that you mentioned it once. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know the ins and outs of the Minnesota Gophers team and, what their depth chart is looking like. I have it being a win, but I could very well see this being a loss and one that we squander. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have this as a loss just because, early November, but early November in Minnesota can be just hell. Very, very cold.
I can see depending on the Michigan game, very much influencing this game for sure.
Yeah,
too.
could be a letdown. Could be a big time letdown if they do pull off the upset there and beat Michigan. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just always play like shit when they go to Minnesota. Like I've seen a lot of letdown games when they have to travel out there. So yeah, I have it as a loss.
It's just if Minnesota can out Minnesota us, and shit on their leg even more. So you have it as a loss. I have it as a win. Again, that's a 50-50 for me. Maybe just a homer pick there. So this is where we kind of diverge. And then Penn State down at Ford Field, got to be a loss, right?
That's a big time L. That's going to be.
I think this one's going to be. I think it's going to be bad.
By far and away, the hardest opponent that Michigan State plays this season is Penn State. Penn State's going to be the real deal. They have national championship aspirations. Do I think they're going to get there? I mean, they're Penn State, so no. But I do think they have the talent to do it. They recruit extremely well. James Franklin is, he's still a pretty good coach, even though he seemingly, pisses down his leg every time he plays a big game. But yeah, it's a 3 touchdown minimum. Yeah, loss.
I hate to say this, I think it's gonna be a 50 burger on us.
Oof. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, those teams are nowhere near on the same level.
Yeah, in front of our quote unquote home fans in Detroit, like there's gonna be a decent amount of Nittany Lion fans coming up for it, and it's gonna be right around Thanksgiving, so that one's gonna get ugly. And then we go travel to Iowa, Iowa City. That's another loss for me. Again, it's just a really, really difficult environment to play in. Not that I know a whole bunch of the Iowa depth chart and stuff. Their prediction on the Athletic was to go 7-2 in the Big Ten, 10-2 overall. But just a really, really difficult environment to play in every year. So it's gonna be a loss for me.
I have this as a statement win. This is going to be a big time win, and honestly, it's more of a gut feeling than anything else. I think Iowa's going to be a pretty good team, but we always play pretty well when we go down there. I swear, it's way more competitive than going to Minnesota. I don't have any stats to back that up, but in just my 30 years of being a Spartan fan, I just have a feeling they're going to go into Iowa. They're going to beat them.
I mean, if you think back to last year, the Iowa game was the first game in which we're like, okay, Aiden Childs might be the real deal. I think maybe we have something here, that he just came out and played like a perfect game against them, and we looked fantastic. So, of course, that was at home. Going to Iowa City is different, and it's not the same Iowa team that they've had in the past. But, okay, so I like the statement win there. Again, I have it as a loss. You have it as a win. So this is where we're right back on track, right, with record.
Right back on track. And then last game of the season, Maryland at home. What do you got?
This one could get weird just because it's the last game of the year. Maryland is kind of always up and down. You never really know what to expect with them. I have them kind of figuring it out and coming off 2 losses and finishing the season on a win against Maryland.
Hell yeah. I'm the same way, man. I think it's a win. I think at home, and this could be a very pivotal game. This could be a 5-win team that that you need it to be bowl eligible. And I think they get it done. I personally have them at 6 wins coming into this game, but regardless, yeah, this is a win.
Yeah, Maryland is slated to finish at the very bottom of the Big Ten. Their prediction is 1-8 in the Big Ten. I'm not sure where that one game is going to come. Hopefully, they're not being
Dude.
projected to come against us. But I could very well see this game being bowl eligibility for the Spartans.
Yeah, and like we said it. And this is the bare minimum. You need to go to a bowl game, and it sucks that the bar is this low because we're not so far removed, Tyler, from just incredible Michigan State football teams. But this is where we are right now. You got to go bowling. It's been 3 years, no bowl games. You have to go bowling.
Yeah, and so I mean, I have them at 7-5. Again, there's a few coin flips in there. Like 7-5 overall scares me. I should not be that optimistic, but I have them at 7-5. You had them at 6, so still being over the 5.5.
Nope, I got them at 7. Got them at 7-5.
Oh yeah. We came back in lockstep there. So both 7-5. So I think I'm worried with 7, but if we can get there again, some coin flips, games go our way. You got to start the season with the first 3 wins. But I want to get to. I know we running about 30 minutes on just college football here, but I want to get to what we talked about kind of to open the show and the disconnection from college football in general from this team. Because like I said, I feel like I don't necessarily know the depth chart as much as I used to. I feel like you knew, who you had at running back and who was at quarterback, and you knew at minimum four, 5, 6 guys on the defense and the linebacking core and a DB. You knew who was back there. You knew the no-fly zone. You knew who you had on that line, Shalik Calhoun and stuff like that. I feel like just in the era of the NIL, these guys are coming and going so quickly, again, coming and going, so that we get guys coming in and get guys leaving. You never know who is going to be starting. Like, if you ask me right now, gun to your head, who is Michigan State's running back?
Dude,
I would have to sit here and think for a second.
Do we have the same brain? I'm not even kidding you. I was going to use that same analogy, gun to your head, and I was going to say the running back because I do not know who. That's actually crazy. I'm not kidding, Tyler. This is the next words out of my mouth. Who's our running back? I'm dead. I have no idea.
So I pulled up the depth chart just so we can look at this and know Elijah Tau Tolliver is our expected starting running back. He's a senior transfer coming in from 2025. The backup is Brandon Tullis, who a sophomore. I recognize that name. He ran for us last year. And then we do have the incoming true freshman Jace Clarizio, who at the last minute Alabama was making a push for. So I know him. But if you would have asked me, I didn't know Elijah was our starting running back. You look at the rest of our offense just in general, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters that are transfers coming in. Omari Kelly, Krishan McCray, Matt Golbin at center, Luka Vinchik at right guard, Connor Moore at right tackle, and then Elijah at starting running back. That's a lot of names that we don't know anything about unless you are truly following this team in lockstep. Like, we follow college football. We love football. It's easily our favorite sport. We know what's going on. We didn't even know a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm 100% with you. I do feel very much disconnected to this team just because of, this is the state of college football. This is the NIL and the transfer portal. And yeah, I think this is going to be an old man yelling at clouds. I think this is a take that probably a lot of people share. It's probably a take that I've shared on this podcast, but we've gone way too far with NIL. We've gone way too far with the transfer portal. And you absolutely need to, bring it back to some kind of sense of reality. Like, I mean, this is NIL started as an idea where players could sign an autograph, use their name. It's called name, image, and likeness. Like, they could actually use their name and make some money. And I was totally fine with it. Like, if you're famous and you want to promote on your Instagram and, sell ads or whatever, or sign autographs, you should be able to make money off your name. And very quickly, within the span of, literally 0 time after NIL started, it became pay to play. And now you just can throw bags of cash at these players, and they don't have to, doesn't have to be any kind of burger promo at, Rama or anything like that. They're just getting millions of dollars to play football. And I'm like, when did we get there? It's ridiculous, man. And so it's literally pay to play. It's like whoever's the biggest bag is going to get these recruits, and they're going to be, sick football teams, and everyone else is just, standing there holding their, what's in their hands. So yeah, that's probably too much of a rant, but that's where I am right now.
Say what you want about Tom Izzo refusing to use the transfer portal. And basketball is different because there's only 5 starters. They're not wearing helmets. Those players a lot more. At least I do. But I know these guys coming up and through, and you'll get 1 or 2 every season that you learn them, and maybe you don't feel as connected with them because they're just in one season and out the next. But he's standing by his guns. And so, I mean, it's just something that like I wish was different. I wish it was something that we got these guys for at least 3 years. And I've said for, there's a lot of different ways, and we don't need to get into it even really any further. But like, there's people that are talking about like have the players sign contracts. Like, I think in my opinion, I think you do something along the lines of like you got to play 2 years, and then after you get your 2 years, or you want to do 3 years, and then you can either go to the NFL after your third year, or you can transfer to a different school, or you want to bring that down so you only have to play 2 years, then you can go to the NFL or transfer to a different school, like a minimum of 2 years, with obviously the exceptions with like injuries, health stuff, change of coaches, family stuff like that. That normally back in the day would get you a transfer.
Right.
Like maybe that's what you got to do, but it's just we talked about it how this summer kind of flew by and we're already here, and I feel like I don't know who really to cheer for, and I'll definitely between now and next Friday run through and figure out the ins and outs of all these players and who to root for, and who's going to struggle and who's going to excel and way overperform. But I just feel like I feel disconnected. I feel like an old man who is suddenly missing college football. So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of our listeners are feeling the same way, but.
They got a real back, man. I think you mentioned a couple things that could definitely fix it. Yeah, one, limiting transfers for sure. I think in an ideal world, and in Kyle's ideal world, you get one transfer because you never know. You do go to a school and maybe it just isn't the fit for you. Like maybe this program is just they totally pitched you a bed of lies and you hate it. I think that you should get one transfer, but like these players are transferring every year. They're transferring 2, 3, 4 times in their career. Like that's ridiculous. I think you get one transfer, and then obviously, like you said, like if there's a coaching firing or coaching change, your coach leaves, you get a free transfer on top of your one. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, like you said, medical stuff, family stuff. If your family moves, like you should be able to potentially change schools. But other than that, I think you get one transfer, and then also you need a salary cap. If we're living in a world where you're not, a player isn't, like I said, getting some kind of promo from a company. Like if you were literally just handing players cash, there needs to be some kind of salary cap. Like you can't be just unlimited spending. Teams like Ohio State, like Oregon, like just spending, I think 30, 35 mil. UT, I think spends 40 mil per year on their roster. Like it's insane. You need to cap it somehow. So yeah, we've gone way too far.
Yeah, but we're out there. Our points are out there. You guys comment and leave your thoughts on the same thing. I would assume a lot of people have similar thoughts, but let me know what you guys think with that and how we can win it or how we can try and fix it. But let's go to a short break, and then when we get back, we have some Detroit Tigers stuff, some reports over the last few weeks, and then some Lions stuff, and we'll finish up with Grid of the Week just after that. All right, so let's get to some Detroit Tigers stuff. Before we do get into this, we're on TikTok. If you guys aren't following us, go and follow us there at Grit Iron Report. We put a video from last week's episode up just talking about the August 31st deadline of some guys that could be waived and the Tigers could pick it up. We had a few different guys in the comments going back and forth on whether, because I had mentioned to get us out of this slump, they could do something like that. And some people were arguing that we're not in this slump anymore. Some people were arguing that obviously we are still in the slump. So I do want to just comment on that real quick and say, like, yes, we are out of the slump of all slumps that we were in for about a month and a half there. Yes, we are beating up on bad teams. We talked about how the schedule is getting easier over the last 2 weeks, and over the next week or so still should continue to be easy. So we are beating up on bad teams and helping that get that buffer and that lead back up in the division. So both things can be true. We're kind of getting out of our slump. We kind of are playing easy teams. But I still think, in a way, like we need some changes. But just in the last 21 games, not including the one tonight, Cal, you already alluded to it. Tigers in an absolute grudge match with the Astros. We are 14-7 in their last 21 games. Overall, the team has a 2.69 batting average with an OPS of 802, which is really good on both fronts, averaging about 5.5 runs per game. And then since the trade deadline, we have the second best record and the sixth best bullpen ERA. So, like, again, both can be true. We're playing bad teams right now. We're slumping really poorly. Now, when you start to go back towards the other, start playing the teams that are above 500, you can't go back to that slump. You got to continue this and get hot at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you broke it down, but I think they have turned the corner. Like, you play who you play, so it doesn't really matter if you're playing good teams, bad teams. It's your schedule, right? Like, you hope that you can keep this up when good teams roll to town. And look, there's a pretty good team rolling to town right now, the Astros, and they're in a dogfight. But look at last night, 10-zip, Tigers win. Yeah. So yeah, straight up belt to ass. So I mean, this team is playing better, And thank God they are, because yeah, I mean, the fans on TikTok, they can say whatever they want, but this team, it absolutely was in a slump. But I think they've probably turned the corner, and I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah, so I know you have me here. So the lead in the Central's back up to 8.5. I'm still the largest lead in baseball. At least it was for a short time being there. I think at one point, and again, I don't know if this changed over today. I haven't checked the rest of the schedule. We were back to the best record in the American League. The Blue Jays had lost a few. I don't know if they had jumped back ahead of us. It's around one game. But the other news coming from the Tigers, Alex Lang was activated off the 60-day IL. So Alex Lang was the closer back in, well, I guess I say he hasn't pitched for us since May of 2024. He went down with a lat injury. Even before that, he was the closer in 2023. Had 26 saves and 32 opportunities with a 3.68 ERA. If you remember back to 2023, we weren't that good, but he was pretty electric, a really good closer for us. Then came in 2024 and really just was not good really whatsoever. He had a 4.34 ERA, which is for a closer not exactly what you want. So then we actually demoted him as our closer, sent him out to AAA to try and figure out his pitch a little bit, his mechanics a little bit, and then down there he tore his lat muscle, so he was then out for all season. And just was activated. I think he just pitched for the first time this season yesterday against the Astros. So we talked about the bullpen. Since the trade deadline, the bullpen has gotten better. Kyle Finnegan has been pretty good for Detroit in the as a closer role. Really, Will Vest has been fantastic when we play him in the closer role since the deadline as well. But Alex Lang could be somebody if he's able to kind of find that 2023 momentum that he was playing with. He could be someone that could help this team down the stretch.
Yeah, it's huge, man. Well, welcome back to Alex after, what do you say, 15 months of not pitching, or at least not at the MLB level. Like, welcome back. We love a good comeback story. And yeah, really, I mean, we're kind of playing with house money as far as the bullpen is concerned. Like, it's a stacked bullpen. Love what I'm seeing out of the boys. So if he can, contribute in any way, I think that's just a huge win, add a little bit more depth. But I mean, you got guys like Brett Herter who, the Tigers sent down, not because he's struggling. He hasn't given up a run in like a month, but, simply because the Astros have, a ton of right-handed batters. And so it made sense to, send him down and have a lefty, have a right-handed pitcher in the bullpen instead. And, I'm sure Herter will be, right back up after this series. So, I mean, it's just, they're just that stacked.
Yeah. It does seem like we are kind of trying to figure that out a little bit. So in his rehab assignments, this is talking about Lang again, he had a 7.27 ERA and 11 strikeouts in his second rehab assignment. He went down, I don't know, he had two different rehab assignments. I don't know if he went down with an injury in between. In his second one, he had, again, 7.27 over 10 games, not great ERA. But then in his final 4 appearances, he was perfect. He had 4 scoreless innings on 4 different appearances, 0 walks, 6 strikeouts. So he really turned it around in his last 4. Last night, again, his first time back up with the Tigers, he just pitched 1 inning, had 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. So again, still did give up 2 hits, but went scoreless there. And then, I mean, we talked about Troy Melton. Troy Melton came out and had a perfect inning again yesterday. So, like, I don't know whether Troy Melton's going to stay in the bullpen, if he's going to be promoted to the starting rotation. But Troy continues to surprise everyone as a great rookie.
Yeah, three-time Grid of the Week recipient Troy Melton. Like, I mean, he just seems like, in the bullpen, that's just he's shining. And granted, like, the game was he was pitching. It was like 8 zip or something, whatever it was. But don't matter, man. This guy, I mean, he's still pitching against MLB players, and he's pitching really well. So keep it up, Troy Melton. You might just win a couple more Grid of the Weeks before this season is done. But dude, yeah, can we just talk about real quick about this game that I'm literally watching right now? End of the 8th inning, Tigers just struck out, bases empty, 0-0 ball game, and yeah, Hunter Brown and Tarek Skubal just with a couple gems.
And both bullpens playing fantastically after both those starters were pulled. This one's going to be important. This would be really painful to lose after a gem that Tarek twirled there. But yeah, I mean, it'll be, obviously we took the one yesterday against Houston, so then you'll have the rubber match tomorrow on Wednesday when you guys are listening to this. But you look ahead after this series, again, Houston's obviously a tough opponent. They're going to be in the playoff race. But then after this, you have Kansas City, Athletics, Kansas City, New York Mets, who can't stop losing, and then Chicago White Sox. So that's like 5 or so series that you should come away with all those series with wins. Whether you're sweeping, doesn't matter. You're coming away with series wins there. So Then it gets a little more difficult with New York, and then you basically finish the season with like 9 games against the Guardians. So then it really would be important there. But you have to come away with these next 5 series with series wins for sure.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, like we said, the boys are playing pretty well right now, so I have no reason to think otherwise. The bats have definitely come to life, and the pitching has been good, like you said, 3.04 ERA, sixth best bullpen since the trade deadline. I mean, the boys are just pitching.
Yep. So, I mean, we'll continue to update you guys on this game as it continues. The eighth just ended, going into the ninth. So hopefully we get a resolution here shortly. But let's jump into the Lions. We're coming to the close of the show, but let's talk about the Lions and the joint practice they had with the Dolphins.
Yeah, just I mean, I guess I haven't seen a ton out of Lions training camp. I haven't done as much reading, but everything that I have seen from all of the reporters, and not just on the Lions side, but I think a lot of it's on the Lions side, but it's not just them being homers. It's actually just true. Is that the Lions dominated the Dolphins on both sides of the ball in the joint practice, and then obviously in the game as well. I mean, I don't know if they won the game, but it seemed like when the starters were in, the Lions were just dominating. They're just the better team. Isaac Tesla, another really good game. And yeah, I see a lot of clips, and this is probably the Lions PR team again, just being really good. But I even see like one-on-ones where like Hutch is going up against Penei Sewell, or Terrion Arnold is going up against one of our best wide receivers. I think it was JMO is the clip that I'm thinking about. But I mean, these guys they're just competing, and it looks like they are so good at what they do. And again, this is just practice. It's just training camp. Like, we're going to see what they're actually made of, when the season starts in 3 weeks, whenever it is. But it just, I don't know. They have so many dogs on this team. I don't see a scenario where this Lions team isn't really, really good.
Yeah, I would say normally when it comes to joint practices and stuff, you're going to just mostly get good things about it. So I would say you take that with a grain of salt. But the amount of reports that came out of that joint practice with the Dolphins, just from so many different outlets saying how much the Lions dominated that practice, like, it has to be more than just Homer reporting, has to be somewhat a truth there. So, I mean, we just talked about college football coming upon us so quickly. The Lions are barreling towards us too. So just 3 weeks until we kick off against Green Bay. We did get some injury news, though. So rookie edge player Ahmad Hassanin has gone down with a pec injury, similar to Rakestraw a few weeks ago. Dan Campbell was a little bit vague, similar wordage, saying like it's going to be quite a long time. So the fear is that Hassanin is out for the year with a pec injury. As soon as that gets confirmed, we'll bring that news to you guys. But this kind of coincides perfectly with the age-old report. I feel like we've talked about this 20 different times over the past year. The Bengals are once again listening to offers for edge player Trey Hendrickson, and it does kind of coincide with losing our really only edge addition this past offseason. So now the reports are, once again, are the Lions going to go out and get Trey Hendrickson?
A tale as old as time. Trey Hendrickson and maybe moving on from the Bengals. Yeah, just when you think it was over. Because I think we probably reported on it like 3 or 4 weeks ago that, this is not happening. He's not moving from the Bengals. And now, they're reportedly listening to trade offers. Don't exactly know what that means. Are they actually listening to trade offers? But next thing you know, you see the DraftKings next team odds for Trey Hendrickson up on X, the Everything app. The Lions, third best odds to land him. Again, I take all that shit with a grain of salt. Like, no one, whenever you ever seen it, next team odds and it's actually correct, like, I feel like it's more hype than anything else. But yeah, Lions 8-1 odds to land Trey Hendrickson. I think he's still very heavy odds to stay with the Bengals, like probably minus 400 or something like that. So at least in Vegas's eyes, he's staying put in Cincinnati. But I don't know, man. They keep dangling this carrot out in front of me, and maybe, I don't know, what are you throwing 2 first rounders at Trey Hendrickson? Probably not. First rounder if he gets it done, absolutely. Like, yeah, what are you thinking?
So I don't think this ends up happening. They asked Dan Campbell about it, specifically how Ahmed just went down, and I don't remember who the reporter was, but like saying, hey, I guess Trey Hendrickson's available. Or excuse me, this was they asked Brad Holmes about it, and Brad Holmes was like, we got a pretty good edge on our team too. So just the way he's acted and what he talks about it, I don't see this ever actually happening. But in hypothetical land, I've seen some mock trades going around. I saw Jack Campbell and a second round pick to the Bengals for Trey Hendrickson. I've seen stuff about Brian Branch for Trey Hendrickson.
No,
and I think that the Brian Branch is a non-starter. Don't talk to me ever again if you're bringing up that kind of stuff. The Jack Campbell in the second, I would be willing to debate it. I'm not doing it still, but I'm willing. It's a little bit closer. I'm happy if it's just gonna be picks. Like I'll do picks. Like I'll do a first and maybe like a fifth or something. Like I'll do picks, but I'm not really interested in doing any young cornerstones if it's gonna take to get Trey Hendrickson.
Altuve just grounded out into huge double play. Will Vest. He's the fucking man.
So yeah, I mean, so the Trey Hendrickson stuff will never die. I think he will stay with the Bengals. I don't think we're going to. I have seen reports that Marcus Davenport looks extremely good in training camp as well. Don't know if he's able to stay healthy. I think maybe there's a world that's our two edges and they play extremely well and we kind of go from there. But I will be one happy podcaster when the Trey Hendrickson saga finally comes to a close.
Yeah, and I'd probably be even happier if Davenport plays the whole season and he's healthy. I think that would be outstanding. We're obviously rooting for him. He's battled injuries his whole career. I don't think it's likely that he plays the whole season, but if he does, I mean, he's still a hell of a player. So yeah, we'll see on that.
Yep, and the Tigers just got the third out, so it is now the middle of the ninth, about to go to the bottom of the ninth, trying to close it out there. So we'll keep you guys updated as we finally finish up the show with some grid of the week there. I know my grid of the week. I'm assuming you had the same grid of the week. Am I correct in that?
I was going to throw someone else a grid of the week.
Okay,
just because yours was so good. I mean, I think we start with yours. Absolute legend. Yeah. Give Sergey
mine, and then I
flowers.
still want to hear yours. It will still spread the love, and I want to hear yours. But my grit of the week is someone that we actually debated on doing an actual segment on, just because it's that kind of monumental. But my grit of the week is going to be Sergey Fedorov. Sergey Fedorov, number 91 for the Detroit Red Wings, is getting his number retired finally by the Red Wings organization. It's something that fans have argued for so long. He was so good with the Red Wings when he played for us. I have his numbers in front of us. He was so fantastic. There was a lot of some bad blood, I guess, I believe, and based on the Illich family, and he ended up leaving the Red Wings in 2003, and I think there was some bad blood there, and that's why it took so long to get his jersey retired. But it finally is being retired. So his numbers for Detroit. From 1991 to 2003, he had 908 games played, which in general is just crazy. He had 400 goals, 954 points, so well over a point per game. Just absolutely insane. Part of the generation that raised us as Red Wings fans. Just so much overdue. I'm so glad number 91's finally getting the recognition. I know there's been reports from him that he's ecstatic, he's happy that it's finally happening. It's just similar to like the Calvin Johnson thing, with like the Calvin Johnson and the organization just not necessarily on great terms. And it's just, as fans, we're saying like, guys, just figure this out, because the great has to respect great. And I'm so glad that Sergey's finally getting his jersey retired. So he definitely is getting my grid of the week.
Yeah, love that so much. Really happy for 91 there. You mentioned his accolades. 3 times Stanley Cup champion, 97, 98, and 2002 with the Red Wings. And then, won the Hart Trophy, MVP as well. 2 Selk trophies, best defensive forward. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think he has 2 of those. And then, member of the Hockey Hall of Fame, inducted in 2015. So absolute legend there. And then honestly, my grid of the week, I don't even know how I could follow that up, because Sergey Fedorov he's the absolute man. I don't know if this is going to be a 1B to him, probably not, but my grid of the week, Trey Sweeney. I'm going with Trey Sweeney, Ice Trey. Not more than, I think, a half hour after someone on this podcast was just, running Trey Sweeney's name all over town, bad mouthing him, that he did hit a triple and then a homer in Monday's game. Yeah, 2 for 4, triple homer, and 3 RBIs to help propel the Tigers to a win over the Astros 10-zip. So yeah, he's definitely no Sergey Fedorov, but he is getting grid of the week for me. He's been struggling mightily, and I'm not a Trey Sweeney fan at all. I'm on record. I don't think he's the guy, but he had a gritty performance on Monday.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is interesting / strange to get Sergey and Trey in the same grid of the week. We'll give 98% of the grid of the week to Sergey.
Yes, that's fair.
98%, and then 2% to Trey. But I mean, you're right.
Maybe 91%. Yeah,
that's fine. I'll go with that. Hand up. I was dogging the guy yesterday, but at the time, rightfully so. We had bases loaded, and admittedly, I think he hit like an absolute bomb that just barely went foul or something, and then the next play he struck out, and it looked terrible doing so. So like right after that happened, I was rightfully so furious with him. I mean, the guy's hitting 209 with slugging of 319, so like the guy's struggling. We both
Whoa,
agree
whoa,
he's
whoa,
not.
come on. We're not doing stats here. I just said his stats for Monday, okay? Triple,
but
home run, 3 RBIs.
I'm saying hand up. He then took what he heard me what he heard what I said, and then he shoved me in the locker because he had a fantastic day, and he has shown that he has power in series past. Back when we were so hot in the first quarter of the season, Trey was a big part of that. So I hope this is a turnaround for him. I hope he can take this grid of the week and put it up on his shelf and use it to propel him into October baseball, and probably going to be platoon because it's kind of a revolving door at shortstop there. But hopefully when he does play, he can use it and power through. I hope he proves both of us wrong because we're both on the opposite side there. Yeah, shout out to Sergey. Actually, I was just looking at his stats. Kind of surprising. He was only a one-time All-Star. That kind of surprised me.
Is that true?
That's what Hockey Reference says, one-time All-Star.
I mean, it must have been his MVP season, right? Like,
Nine
the man was,
All-Star team.
wow, yeah, I think that is when he won MVP, so yeah, damn.
Actually, well, wait a minute.
Actually, no.
No, I'm looking. I don't know why. So they had a Hockey Reference is wrong here. They at the very top they have just one-time All-Star, but then you look at the awards down at his year by year. Looks like he has at least 1, 2, 3,
Six-time All-Star.
4, 5, 6. Yeah. What is Hockey Reference talking about here? One time I saw that. I was like, what are we doing here?
We almost just got clipped. We would have went viral for the wrong reasons. Yeah, six-time All-Star. He did win MVP in the '94 season.
So rightfully deserved. So grid of the week to Sergey, finally getting that. I think it's in January. His number is being retired, and then Trey Sweeney. Hopefully Trey can take it and continue moving forward. And also Sergey, I think there's also a chance, like with Yzerman at the helm, Sergey. A lot of those Russian 5 players and the guys that were playing around Steve back then, they're involved with the organization and doing a great job scouting for us and coaching around the world and helping out the Red Wings there. So hopefully this opens up greener pastures for him and we can get some sort of a copacetic relationship moving forward. But shout out to Grid of the Weeks for both those guys.
One more fun stat. Sergei Fedorov, first Russian player to reach 1,000 NHL points. That's a fun fact.
Sergei walked so Alex Ovechkin could run.
Yep,
People are saying
that's true. That's very true.
All right, so that's our show. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and myself at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or on TikTok at Gridiron Report, on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1, or you can watch us on YouTube at Gridiron Report. If you're into streaming and gaming, jump over to the Party Chat podcast. Those guys are doing a great job every single week bringing you guys different game reviews, streaming opinions, stuff of that nature. Finally, you can join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. That phone number is 313-306-7939. Just remember, as we get into the NFL season, we'll be breaking down the lines a lot more, so we want you guys to call in, give your opinions on how the game went, the upcoming matchups, and as just a little side note, again, I am doing a series trying to find the best wings in Detroit for the NFL season, so we need more options and more places that you guys think are the best wings in Detroit, so make sure you guys are calling into that voicemail and leaving us the best wings in Detroit, and we'll go out there and try them and give them a rating. Finally, if you like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars and leave us a little review saying so. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Restore the roar.
Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired. Grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thunder and loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The grit